Hello there. Welcome, Power Partners. It's the informational playground and barnyard of Starstyle, Be the Star You Are, coming to the airwaves under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity. I am Cynthia Brian. And as always, we are right here on Voice America Media. This is going to be kind of a fun show today. It's summertime. So we're going to talk about what kind of trips, how to stay healthy this summer, and the kinds of trips that you can do. And then in segment two, it's something I'm just kind of investigating, and it's funny. And we're going to talk about some crazy dating, numerous new terms for dating, and they sound so funny and cute. I am not on the dating course. I've been married for my whole life, I feel like, but I found it fascinating when people were talking about goblin intimacy, kitten fishing, shrekking, wildflowering. I mean, it sounds just crazy and challenging, and also something you have to be aware of when finding love. So that'll be kind of something fun that we'll look at in segment two. The miracle moment for today is perhaps from author unknown, or maybe it's a famous quote. It's also been attributed to George Orwell, who wrote the dystopian novel 1984, which he published in 1949. I mean, 1949. And the slogan that he wrote in the book was, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past." And I like that one, but this one it might be just made up, and it is the way out is in. And I always talk about, bringing outside in and inside out, and I thought that was kind of a good quote. Well, let's talk about summer. It's summer is usually everybody's kind of favorite time of year because things are a little bit slower, maybe lazier. We get more time to rest and recoup and visit with friends and swing in hammocks and swim and go to the beach, take road trips, etc. So this summer, the trends are a little different. The road trips are expected to be the most popular. And most people are actually choosing domestic vacations this year as opposed to traveling abroad. It's probably an after effect of the political climate that we have in America, the wars that are happening around the world, and also the fact that things are so expensive, especially gas, airfares, hotels have gone up. 71% of Americans that have been interviewed are planning to travel by car on their next trip. AAA has done surveys, 71%. That's by car. Now, fuel costs and airline prices are going to continue to impact fares, and that is going to affect everybody's vacation plans. I am not one, my family, we don't really take summer vacations because living on a farm, it is the hardest time of year really to do any traveling because all the animals need to be watered and fed daily, sometimes twice daily. I have big orchards and gardens, and the same thing with the watering. Whereas in the winter, there's rain and it's cooler and it's easier, and it's easier to find someone that can help you out in the wintertime, whereas in the summer it's just hot and I have to be really on top of it. So summer isn't a vacation time for me. Maybe a weekend. I can go away for a couple of days, something like that, but not much more than that. So no real vacation. Now, a lot of people, because it is the semi-quincentennial, this year, 250 years of the Declaration of Independence. There are quite a few historic experiences that people want to go and be involved with. There's a lot of special events happening across the country. You're going to find parades and fireworks and historic celebrations pretty much everywhere. I know that for the 4th of July, just our little area, we there were three major different celebrations with parades, dog parades, fireworks, and all the different principalities, as well as music festivals and barbecues and lots of fun things. So if you whatever wherever you live, you should check your town's schedule and or if you're a county, see what's happening in the area near you. Now, if you are traveling and you get to the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, this is one I'd like to see. I won't be there, but it just unveiled its In Pursuit of Life, Liberty, and Happiness exhibit. And it's including 250 artifacts, from our history. That includes the desk where Thomas Jefferson drafted the Declaration of Independence, a ship from the Revolutionary War, the original Star-Spangled Banner that inspired our nation's flag, and so many other things. Also, the American Battlefield Trust compiled a list of 20 must-see battlefields commemorating our nation's battle for independence. The United States history is also memorialized in many museums around the country because of the 250th. So, this would be a good time to see the story of our quest for independence. I did tell you last week that there are a few really good documentaries online too. On PBS, you can see Ken Burns. He's done the American Revolution, and it's an excellent, excellent series. And on Netflix, there is one that's called The American Experiment. And I think it was five episodes. Very, very well done and so informative. And then, of course, most magazines are writing about the 250th. And I imagine throughout the year, there'll be all kinds of different exhibits. Now, before you start traveling, you got to start thinking about being healthy because it is not fun to travel if you're not feeling well. I mean, and oh, it seems I know I still wear a mask. The only time I wear a mask really is when I go to an airport because I just know that people are traveling sick. There are always people coughing and all kinds of, I don't know. Their airports are crowded. And if you're going to some big events and going to, maybe concerts, you might want to consider about masks or at least think about your exposure, how it can be increased for all these seasonal illnesses. I mean, you've heard about the hantavirus that has gone around, which is 30% of the people who get it die, which is awful. And there was a new virus that I'm forgetting what the name of it is now, but it's kind of a food illness that is on vegetables and fruit and things, and really because of picnics and outdoor events. So here are just some tips just to keep you healthy. Now, first of all, you got to stay hydrated. Got to drink a lot of water regularly and drink it from bottled sources, unless you're at your house and you know where your water source is coming from. But if you're traveling, you want to have bottled water. A friend just gave me a couple samples of it's something that's made by Gatorade called Zero. They're little tiny packages that you can sprinkle into water that gives you some energy boost so that you can keep up your electrolytes. I know when I travel, especially by plane, or if I'm, exercising too much, I can get so dehydrated. And so you don't want that to happen. I have on some trips actually ended up in the hospital because of dehydration. um, and it was just from like too many hours where planes were delayed and delayed and delayed. And those were in the days before you carried around your own water bottle and they didn't, give you enough water on the plane. So having something like that is probably a good idea. One of the most important things you can do to keep yourself healthy is to wash your hands frequently, pack hand sanitizer, and always have the hand sanitizer with you. Hand sanitizer isn't as good as soap and warm water, but it's much better than nothing. And then you want to take enough breaks and rest breaks because you don't want to get run down. And also, you need to sleep. One of the things that so many people do when they have a vacation is you want to pack everything in. You know, it's like jam as much into the hours that you have. But then again, that could totally exhaust you. You could end up getting sick. So, be really careful with your health when you're traveling. So, wash your hands, get your sleep, drink plenty of water, and make sure if you take any medications that you have them with you. And if you're flying, always keep them in your carry-on. Never ever put them in your check luggage because you have no idea if you may even see that luggage again. Weather is something else that we've got to watch out for. So there are summer storms, all throughout the world, and I can't get over the storms that have been happening in the United States so far. And I usually think of summer as fires, but fires and hurricanes are what I think about normally. But gosh, there's been floods and so many other things, and then this terrible, terrible earthquake in Venezuela, which of course you don't hear, you don't know that coming until maybe 15 seconds before. But let's talk about hurricanes because hurricane season is here. And you have to really find out, know about them. NOAA, NOAA, which is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, they're saying that this year there should be a lower than normal number of hurricanes, but you want to be informed. And you can go to ready.gov. That's just ready.gov. It has a checklist of things to do, how to make an emergency plan, knowing your evacuation zone, how to move in alerts and warnings. So if you're going to be traveling to a coastal or a near coastal region, check out the hurricanes. I also just think because of storms, whether it's rain or the storms where there could be flooding, I'll always check the weather. And of course, here in the West Coast, we have usually in summer, there's fires. And have your go bag prepared. Whether you live in the area or you're visiting, always be ready to evacuate. And that's important. Now, when we're talking about gas prices, I think they're up again today. Evidently, we are back at war with Iran. On again, off again, on again, off again. But I found this to be an interesting statistic. In 1996, which is what, that's 30 years ago? Yeah, 30 years ago. Gas prices were $1.25 a gallon. $1.25. So summer travel does cost a lot more now. So you really want to plan accordingly. And there are apps and loyalty programs, and mileage programs that can help you with your gas prices. I know that Costco, if you go to Costco, if you're a Costco member, you can get gas cheaper. I think some Safeway stores have, if they have a gas station, they offer something. So those might be some ways for you to save on gas. And then something that, during the summer that people really like are going to games. And of course, we've got the World Cup. That's been on. And if you are going to go to a game or a concert or whatever that's on the horizon for you, you want to check out the websites of the band, the team, the scheduled venue to know exactly when tickets will be released and when you're ready to buy. You might want to follow their social media um, platforms and also do your homework because you want to have fun when you're going to go to these events, but you don't want to get scammed, right? So there's something, you want to be on a travel and ticket scam watch. You want to use only authorized ticket sellers, and that includes the venue's box office and any of their licensed secondary sellers for an event. You don't want to show up with a ticket that, you bought or that a scalper sold you and then find out it is a fake. It's just too easy to fake things now. So, you go to Ticketmaster or StubHub or SeatGeek, but just be aware. Now, when it comes to vacation rental listings, make sure any rental has a refund guarantee and just verify that it's an actual rental because again, people can take a photo from the website and then they can create a URL and advertise something cheaply and then they don't deliver. So be careful of that. So again, check the URL for the ticket sellers, make sure it's a legitimate seller. Look for that lock symbol in up in the web address to verify who you're purchasing from and to make sure that that vendor is a real person. And be astute when you do it because sometimes they're just one letter off or they add a period or they add something. Beware of pop-up ads offering last-minute tickets at low prices because very often those are fake. Don't do wire transfers and payment apps. I want to avoid them. Just use a credit card for added consumer protection. If you use a credit card, normally you can get refunded if you are scammed or something. But if you're just doing, a Venmo or or a PayPal, you're not going to get something back. Um, Double check vendors' customer service numbers before you finalize your purchase. And if you have questions, don't always depend on the phone number that you see on the website that could be a fake website. Make sure it is a real website. And then download your tickets to your phone's mobile wallet ahead of time in case you have any internet outages when you're trying to enter. What I actually do is I print out my tickets just I print out everything, air tickets, everything, just in case that my phone goes dead, which has happened before. And so if you're getting back to rentals and stuff, you really want to verify the listings online, read reviews of past guests. And if the reviews seem too complimentary, make sure, or I mean, they could be fake, right? So make sure that you're really seeing the real thing. Ask a lot of questions before you finalize your booking and stay on real rental platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, and always use a secure payment method. I mean, when it sounds too good to be true, just remember it usually is too good to be true. For those of you out there who are really into sports or musics or special events, maybe you're a diehard fan of beautiful stadiums. Here are a few places you may want to check out. Of course, Madison Square Garden, who just got married there. That was a big thing. So many people evidently had an amazing time. I guess we'll be seeing more pictures as Travis and Taylor's wedding things come out. But that's a good place if you haven't ever been there, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it has a pulse-pounding history of racetrack excellence for those of you that like motor cars. Fenway Park, the home of the Boston Red Sox, known as America's most beloved ballpark. You could go to Lambeau Field, which is the NFL's oldest continuously operating football stadium. It's home to the Green Bay Packers. If you're in beautiful Colorado, its legendary concerts have been held at Red Rocks Amphitheater. And of course, for the best thoroughbred racing excitement, check out Louisville's Churchill Downs. So those are just a few things. I want you to stay safe for summer, have really a fun time, I'm going to just do stay vacations and barbecue and swim and, that kind of thing. But if you're going out, have a wonderful, wonderful vacation. And remember to stay healthy, wash your hands, stay hydrated, and enjoy yourself. You're listening to Cynthia Brian. This is Starstyle, Be the Star You Are. I'll be back with a business bite, and then we're going to talk about some funny slogans or things with dating. Don't go away. We're on Voice America Media. No matter how hard a company tries to please customers, there's always going to be a complaint somewhere. We all know people who love to blame and complain. And according to a study by Case Western Reserve University, 42% of dissatisfied customers will complain to others about their experiences. Now, 37% will tell the company when there's a problem and ask for satisfaction. And when people do that, they usually don't tell others about the bad experience because they're hoping for a solution. But 14% may return after a bad experience and not tell the company anything. And 14% will just stop buying and they won't tell the company, but they'll tell many others. But then there's that 28%, they seek revenge and they will broadcast the company shortfall to anyone who will listen. And that is usually on social media and even writing to the government. Now, if you want customer loyalty, you got to make sure your company has a policy of inviting complaints and has an excellent customer service representative who will do what it takes to keep a customer happy. It is much more difficult to cultivate a new client than to retain an existing one. So remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Brian with an I. Well, you're listening to Star Style. Be the star you are. This is our playground, and I am Cynthia Brian, your host. We're coming to you on Voice America Media. As I said at the beginning of the hour, I've been married forever, so I'm not on the dating scene, but I do have a couple of friends who are dating, and they tell me some funny things. And so I thought that it might be fun to talk about some of the dating trends that flip all the rules. I was reading an article in USA Today, and it gave me a lot of thought here. So, if you are dating and you're on a dating app, you might stretch the truth about yourself sometimes. And if it sounds like you do that, if you stretch the truth, not the tooth, there is a name for that behavior. It's called kitten fishing. And its more extreme cousin is called catfishing. Now, kitten fishing more or less tends to end in disappointment. I think probably catfishing does too. So, what kitten fishing is, it involves telling little lies about yourself, usually in the early stages of dating, and what it is to make yourself seem more attractive. It's like, maybe you say you're an inch or two taller than you really are, or that you went to some prestigious school, but the reality is that you only took a class there, or you don't tell the truth about your age, or you edit your pictures so much, or you even use a picture of somebody else. Now, you may not be concocting an entirely fabricated persona like catfishing is, but you're also not being totally honest. But kitten fishers aren't actually bad or undesirable. They just seem to be a little bit insecure. They're not really malicious. They're just trying to stand out because they don't know how to stand out. So there are all these dating terms that aim to define and clarify every little aspect of a relationship. There's another one called wildflowering. This one attracted me because I am that goddess gardener. And what it is when you're a wildflower, it means that you let a relationship unfold completely organically. Now, I don't really know what that means, but according to dating coaches, they say it means that a wildflower has no timelines, labels, definitions, or expectations. In other words, that the connection that you have with the person you date gets to bloom like a wildflower. In other words, free, untamed, and beautiful. But it's not always beautiful. I mean, I grow a lot of wildflowers, and sometimes they're pretty, but sometimes they just look like weeds. So there are some wonderful aspects to wildflowering. So one is with modern daters that have all these arbitrary rules and overthinking, they might really enjoy being a wildflower. But then some of the pitfalls of that is wildflowers risk being led on or maybe even taken advantage of by those treating the trend as merely an excuse to not commit. Or maybe a wildflower doesn't want to set clear boundaries or adhere to any standards. One of the big ones is wildflowerers. They might be dating, but they're not dating to marry. They see dating as a process of curiosity, like a practice in getting to know yourself along the way and getting to know yourself by dating different people. And that way you can get a clearer view on who you are. And it's also a rejection of the controlled artificial vibe that many associate with online dating. I, I know online dating is really big. I have to say that the few friends that I have that are single have not had very good luck with it. Um, and it would scare me. But I think it's, I mean, some of these things that they're talking about is sounds so funny. There's another one called goblin intimacy or goblintimacy. And what that one is, it is the idea of revealing your inner goblin right off the bat. That means you weed out partners who would never be right for you in the long run because what most people say is that our inner goblins come out eventually. So why not just get it out right away? So it is the dating cousin of goblin mode. It's a rebellion against showing up on dates, performing a curated version of who you think someone wants. And instead, you just show up as your real, authentic, and actual self with all the quirks, the flaws, and the imperfections. So it sounds good. Just, I think being yourself sounds good. I mean, I wouldn't want to present myself as anything other than that. However, I do think that whenever you meet somebody for this first time, you can't help but be the best version of yourself. Whereas I guess in this goblin intimacy, you really are a little bit maybe too real. People are tired of the artifice and fakery of dating. So there's a lot of questioning about what is real, what is not. And there's a real fatigue about playing the game of dating. And some daters realize that the rules or the hacks, they don't work universally and that it's much more about finding someone who really sees the real and authentic you and then is interested in you. So I guess it's not totally off base. If your goal is a long-term relationship, your partner, whoever you're dating, is going to see the real you eventually. So showing up as your authentic self instead of performing or pretending would help alleviate anxiety and make you more relatable. And I think in that case, it'd make you more attractive. So I thought that mindset seems kind of good as long as you're not showing up looking like like a slob or something. If you are a slob, you better be attracting other slobs. But there is a real fine line between authenticity and then oversharing. And there's a fine line between over curating yourself and being a slob. Um, I mean, I suppose from my point of view is how would you go to work? You're working with these people every day if you go to an office or wherever you work. And even if it is a casual place, you would still show up clean and, presentable and brush your teeth and comb your hair, that kind of thing. So I would assume that even if you're going to do this goblin intimacy, you'd want to have that kind of um, protocol for yourself. You don't want to twist yourself into pretzels because it is really, I think, trying to meet people these days is hard, especially since so many people are doing things from working from home or have such busy schedules that it is hard to build rapport unless you are belonging to church or clubs or social groups, something like that. So, what are the things that you can do is just to be the best that you possibly can be. There are pros and cons to everything, every kind of dating. I mean, It just seems that getting an introduction to somebody who thinks that you'd be a good match for companionship is probably a good way to start. But you know you the best, and always just be authentic to who you are. And I think if you are, you should go out and you'll probably have a good time in some way, shape, or form. But I found all of these things, catfishing, kitten fishing, goblinacy, wildflowering, to be so interesting that we have names for all of them. The only thing I want to say is if you're going to be online, just be safe. So be honest, but be safe. That is the show for today. I hope you'll be tuned in here every Wednesday with me, Cynthia Brian, on Voice America Media. This is Starstyle. Be the star you are. You can always change your life. You can make your dreams come true. For more information about Cynthia Brian, which is me, my company, Starstyle Productions, or to get a look at any of my books, please visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Brian with an I. If you'd like to get involved with Be the Star You Are charity that brings you this broadcast, visit bethestaryouare.org. Our teen show airs on Sundays at 3 p.m. on Voice America Media, also on this empowerment channel, and it is called Express Yourself Teen Radio. It is for teens, by teens, and with teens, completely unedited. It's what teens are thinking about. So it's a really good place to find out what the young people have to say about what's happening in our world. As always, my aim is to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate you. See beyond your physical being. Know you are already the star you dreamed of becoming. Cherish the past, dream of the future, and celebrate every moment of your life. And until next Wednesday, when we play again here in the Starstyle Playground, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles will keep us happy. I am Cynthia Brian, encouraging you to be kind and inclusive, tell the truth and live with integrity, embrace other cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, and innovate. And of course, be your unapologetically authentic self because everyone counts. Go out into the world, be the star you are, and be here with me next week on Star.